food labels can be confusing. Should we look at the fat content, or the sugar, or the energy? And what about the health claims, and the health star rating, and the ingredients list? Food labels are designed to help people make better food choices armed with knowledge of what's actually in the food, the health claims, the energy content, and nutritional components of the food, like carbohydrates and protein. Labels are also used for marketing purposes, and in some cases, they can actually confuse and mislead the customer. Of course, we all aim to buy fresh food without packages and labels like vegetables and fruit. However, the reality is everyone eats some packaged food daily, and even some healthy foods are packaged, like yogurt and oats. There are some 60,000 line items in supermarkets across Australia, and most of these are packaged. So let's find out what is the most important information to look for in a label. I'm going to cover these key elements of nutrition labelling: the ingredients list, nutrition information panel, health claims, and the health star rating. The ingredients list is a mandatory listing of all the ingredients and probably the most important label to read. The label must show the ingredients in order by quantity by weight, so the first ingredient is the most prominent. In Nutella, for example, sugar is the first ingredient, which means that there is more sugar than any other individual ingredient. Just looking at the Nutella jar and the advertising, you'd be led to think Nutella is all about hazelnuts. However, it's not. It's all about sugar. It consists mainly of sugar. The ingredients list on a product can be short or long depending on the food. For example, the ingredients list on oats is just one ingredient, oats. The list on this Atkins Advantage bar is very long, and I can't really call this a food. It's more of a food-like substance. There are additives and artificial flavours and sweeteners that we really don't want to ingest. As a general rule, the fewer ingredients, the closer that food is to nature, and the more likely it will be better for us. Much better than a product with 50 million ingredients. Manufacturers must also list the percentage of the ingredient that gives the food its character. For example, how much of a strawberry yogurt is actually strawberries, and how much of the tomato sauce is actually tomatoes. Additives deemed safe for human consumption have numbers. So some of foods that you would recognise, for example, turmeric, which is often used to colour foods, is represented by the number 100. Whereas sucralose, which is an artificial sweetener, is represented by 955, and MSG is represented by the number 621. Let's look at Dorito chips. We can see a long list of ingredients and artificial colours here, yellow and red. The processes involved to make these chips from corn are extensive compared to these chips, which only have 3 ingredients: corn, vegetable oil and salt. Yes, Doritos might be tasty and that's why they sell well. The number one driver of food purchases is taste, followed by price. Health concerns are often well down the list. To see a full list of additive numbers and what they mean, visit the Food Standards Australia and New Zealand website for ZANS. This is the government-based body which ensures that food products made in both Australia and New Zealand have truthful and sufficient labelling. Their website has some really useful information about labels, nutrients in food, and also food recalls and what claims manufacturers can actually make on their food. Another mandatory label is the Nutrition Information Panel. This outlines the different nutrients in the food and lists the quantity of different elements in the food per serving and per 100 grams. It must list energy, protein, fat, saturated fat, carbohydrate, sugars and sodium. And other nutrients must be listed if a claim is made. For example, if a package has source of fibre, the amount of fibre must be listed. There are a few foods that don't require a nutrition information panel. For example, things like herbs and spices, mineral water, tea, coffee and alcohol. Foods that are sold unpackaged, and foods that are made and packaged at the point of sale, like bread made and sold in a local bakery. Let's read the label on this Yoplait vanilla yogurt. Because it is marketed as vanilla yogurt, the amount of vanilla must be listed. And we can see that vanilla is listed as 0.01% of the total weight of the yogurt. This yogurt also contains 22.4 grams of sugar per serving, which is equivalent to 5.6 teaspoons of sugar in each of these little pots. It also contains additives such as thickeners and flavours and natural colour. And although additives and flavour enhancers have codes, flavourings do not. And they can be natural, nature identical or artificial, which makes it difficult for consumers to actually know what is flavour, what does flavour mean. Natural flavours can include any flavour derived from sources like plant materials, fruits and roots and bark, or animal products such as meat and dairy. Artificial flavours, on the other hand, are any flavours that are not defined as natural, so even if they have the same chemical composition as natural flavours. We would be better off choosing a plain Greek yogurt and adding in a bit of honey. I've had clients who have been sold on the whole low-fat mantra, only to find out that their low-fat cereal they've been eating for years is made up of a third or sometimes even a half sugar. So claims of low fat or low sugar are called nutrient content claims. These are claims about the content of certain nutrients, for example, low fat, high fibre or good source of protein. Nutrient content claims are voluntary statements that can be used to advertise a food or placed on the label. And the types of claims that manufacturers can make about their products is governed by legislation, so they just can't make it up. This table outlines some claims and what the criteria are. For example, to claim a product is low fat, there must be 3 grams or less fat per 100 grams of food. This cereal has a claim low GI, which means the GI must be less than 55. It also claims source of protein and fibre, which means it must have at least 5 grams of protein per serve and 2 grams of fibre. Okay, let's check on the nutrient information panel. Yes, this cereal has 6.6 grams of protein per serve and 3.6 grams of fibre per serve. So the claim on the front of the pack is correct. The other type of regulated claims are health claims that link a food or a nutrient to a health effect, like calcium for healthy bones and teeth. The food standards legislation includes a list of 200 pre-approved health claims that can be made. For example, the packet of this cereal says beta-glucan helps lower cholesterol. If a company wants to make a claim which is not on the list, it is called a self-substantiated claim. This means that as long as the company can prove they have the research or literature review behind the claim, they are allowed to place the claim on a product. For example, Jalna Dairy Foods has registered a health claim titled "Increased consumption contributes to improved digestion" when referring to their yogurt dairy products. Companies can use these kinds of nutrient and health claims to advertise or promote a product. For example, this Sultana brand package says high in fibre and whole grains, so it must meet the food standards code. Labels can be very confusing for people, which is why a simpler labelling system has been introduced in Australia, the Health Star rating. This is a familiar rating system. Just like our appliances have an energy rating system, the premise is that the more stars, the healthier the food is. And this voluntary scheme was introduced in 2014, and now there's over 10,000 products which display a Health Star rating. The Health Star Committee comprises government representatives, industry groups and public health advocates. However, industry has quite a strong influence in these types of committees and discussions, as they have whole teams of legal experts and product manipulators who are tasked with ultimately assisting companies to sell more product. The Health Star is calculated by the manufacturer and includes the energy content, sugar, saturated fat and sodium of the food. Now, companies can get bonus points for adding in more fibre, protein or fruit, vegetable, nuts and legumes into their product. The Health Star rating is a good idea. It gives consumers one thing to look at, and the theory is that instead of having to read all the labels, consumers can just look at the Health Star rating and compare products within category. So generally the scheme seems to be working well, however there are some outliers and anomalies which could mislead consumers. The Health Star rating label looks like this, and companies can choose which part of the label they'd like to use. Many have chosen just to go with the star circle, others include the amounts of key nutrients. Some companies have been cherry picking, for example, only putting stars on the products that obtain higher star ratings. such as Kellogg's, they haven't put the health star ratings on some of the products like LCM bars because they would only get 1.5 stars. Whereas Woolworths is placing health stars on all of their own brand products, regardless of whether they get a high or low rating, which demonstrates transparency for the consumer. Some products achieve surprisingly high health stars. For example, Nutri-Grain gets 4 health stars. This is a result of manipulating the nutrients such as adding in fibre or protein. Milo had a rating of 4.5 stars, which outraged nutritionists and public health advocates. Nestle has now removed the rating due to this pressure, and the guidelines for health star rating have also changed. The idea with the health star rating system is that products should be compared to similar products in the same category. So you wouldn't compare yogurt to cereals or smoked salmon. You just compare cereals to cereals and yogurts to yogurts. Alright, let's look at the cereal category. So we can see that oats gets 5 stars, however Sultana bran is not far behind and gets 4.5 stars, even though it's very high in sugar, over 20% sugar. Yes, it's made from sultanas, but this may still be seen as misleading. The George Institute has developed a great website and app, Food Switch, that allows consumers to look up foods and see their health stars to find out what's really in their food. So my top tips are: number 1, the ingredients list is the most important. This will give you the best indication whether the food has been mucked around with or not. Secondly, the fewer the ingredients, the better. The closer this food is to nature. Thirdly, look for sugar less than 5 grams per 100 grams of product. And finally, look for whole, unprocessed, real foods. Shopping around the perimeter of the supermarket will assist with this because this is where all the fruit, the veg, meat and dairy, the actual foods are. And stay out of the middle aisles as much as possible. Thank you.